What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is gonna be my comprehensive review and analysis of the latest Tempest Trial unit, Summer Norne. So I'll be going over her builds, what kind of options you can run in different game modes, and as always, if you guys do enjoy these in-depth analysis videos, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe. So with that said, let us begin. So Summer Norne is a 176 BST infantry lance unit, and infantry lance units are really rare, so much so that Summer Norne is actually the first infantry lance unit in the Grail pool. So we haven't really got a lot of them, so she doesn't really have too much competition, and she's a pretty unique lance infantry unit in the free-to-play pool because she's quite speedy and she does have decent bulk as well. So she's got 37 base attack and 39 base speed. So she does have speed super boon, which obviously means that she can run damage reduction skills, and her bulk is also quite workable at max investment. You have probably seen this kind of stat spread on another free-to-play unit, and you'd be correct because it is pretty similar to Ninja Hana. In fact, so much so that she's basically a blue infantry version of Ninja Hana. That's pretty much it. They have a really similar stat spread with some minor differences, but for the most part, they're pretty much going to be the same type of unit, and they can run similar builds. But obviously their matchups are quite different because of their color. One thing which Summer Norne users might find annoying is the fact that she does not have easy access to the seasonal weapons. All of her really good lances, especially Flowing Lance and Candy Cane, are locked behind seasonal units. Now granted, these are 4-star focus units on these seasonal banners, but still you'd have to get lucky or spend your orbs. But that is not the case with Ninja Hana because she already has Pelagian Axe, Dex Swabber, Huge Fan, Springy Axe available in the Grail pool, so you don't have to summon anything to get her best inheritable weapons. That is not the same with Summer Norne, so it might be annoying for some free-to-play players. Now let's move on to the actual comparison. We don't have too many fast lance infantry units, and the two of them which are similar to her are seasonal units, which are 4-star focus units. But for the most part, Norne just completely dunks on them because of having better speed. Ogma and Geese do have a bit more defense, but having a balanced bulk like Norne and having that better visible resistance is always going to be preferable for a damage reduction unit, and obviously she does have much higher speed. So unfortunately for Ogma, even though he got a really good ult, Norne just completely overshadows him because Norne does not take any kind of orbs to build up, unlike Ogma who's a 4-star focus unit. So Norne is really unique for the free-to-play players. When it comes to her weapon, she's got Shell Point Lance Plus as her inheritable weapon. So at start of turn, this weapon will give you +6 defense if you're within 3 spaces of an ally, and if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, she can also get +5 attack and defense during the combat. So the +6 defense you get is a visible buff, and then you get in combat +5 attack and defense. So it's a decent weapon, but honestly there are better lances for her, like Flowing Lance and Candy Cane if you do want to invest into her heavily. So those are always going to be good options, but this is decent I guess for the free-to-play pool. And the rest of her kit is really not impressive when it comes to the fodder, so she doesn't really provide too good of a fodder for a free-to-play unit unfortunately. So overall, Norne ends up being one of the best free-to-play units for investing into because she's really unique, as free-to-play lance infantries are extremely rare. So she barely has any competition as a Grail unit as you've seen, so definitely quite a unique free-to-play unit right now. And she's definitely one of the best free-to-play units who can utilize damage reduction skills like Ninja Hana obviously. And her versatile stat spread does allow her to function in various game modes in various roles like in player phase, enemy phase, or even both phases with a lot of the builds. And she's also going to be hitting 180 BST after the speed super boon, so she can be useful for arena usage because instead of running a dual skill on an older unit, you can just run distant counter and bait out range units, so that is really good. So hitting 180 BST is going to be pretty nice for free-to-play players. And she's going to be in January's ephemera pool, so you can build her up to +9 merge and then get the final merge in January. So obviously she has a lot of good things going on for her, which is why I think a lot of people are going to be investing into her, but she definitely has some of the reasons why you may not want to invest into her. The big one is that she doesn't have a preferred weapon, which means that in future when we get infantry units with higher BST, if they have more stats than Norne and if they have a preferred weapon, they can pretty much outclass her. And one of the annoying things which I mentioned before is the fact that her best lances are seasonal demote logged. So you'll have to spend orbs trying to get them if you really want to heavily invest into Norne, and building her is not really going to be that cheap. And another very important thing to keep in mind is that Choose Your Legends 5 is right around the corner, so there's a possibility of BST increase. So if you really care about arena scoring and if you want to have a high scoring arena unit, then you could try to wait and just see if the BST increases or not. By the time she appears in the Grail shop, I believe we will have Choose Your Legends 5. so you'll be able to know if there's going to be a BST increase or not. Now let's go over how you can build up Summer Norne. On a budget, you can just give her Guard and have Attack Speed Bond, Sacred Seal. Guard is definitely going to be helpful, and you can also run Moonbow on her because she doesn't really have too much firepower at Unmerged, and you can definitely stack up some speed even on an Unmerged Norne. And you can also go with Fury Desperation just to have a budget player phase build because she can definitely function with that kind of role because of her offensive stat spread. And you can also run Gale Force on her even on a budget, but keep in mind that you'll definitely have to provide her with some attack and speed buffs so that she can Gale Force a lot of the modern units, which are going to be extremely fast. So if you want to heavily invest into her, then this is pretty much going to be her ideal build, with Flowing Lance as her weapon because it has got lull attack defense built into it, so she can have that while also having Spurn and Slot B. So you definitely want to utilize the damage reduction skills at max investment, and plus speed IV is going to be her best IV, so you should definitely try to go with that. And you can have Spurn 3 and Joint Drive Attack from Male Chris in the Divine Code section, and then just run, Bonfire, Aether, Soul, any of those specials which can work out, and have Speed Rest solo. So this is going to be the usual build that you can run on Summer Norne, and it is going to be giving you really good performance. You can also run her with her default weapon if you don't really want to invest too heavily into her with the Seasonal Lance. So you can have Shell Point Lance and run Rouse Attack Resistance, so this way you can have buff on 3 of her stats, and it also synergizes well with the Solo Sacred Seal if you're going to be running that. Next up, you can also run Springy Lance Plus because it is a pretty good weapon for neutralizing the debuffs on her attack and speed, and those are really important stats for Norne. So the extra speed does help you with the damage reduction skill, and you can just go with Mystic Boost to have some self-sufficiency. She can also be player phase focused by running Slaying Lance and having Gale Force, so it does make Gale Force into a 4-turn special, and then you can just have Flashing Blade Sacred Seal, which is going to be pretty good with her high speed. Fire Sweep Lance is also a good weapon if you want to utilize her in player phase, and you can definitely go with Time Pulse and Gale Force with Fire Sweep Lance, and she can definitely hit pretty hard for a Lance Infantry unit. And finally, if you can have access to Ninja Yari Plus, then you can definitely run a pretty expensive build with having Flashing Blade 4, Gale Force, and Time Pulse. She's going to be able to quad attack a lot of units with her high speed, and the true damage from Flashing Blade does help your damage output. And now finally, let's move on to the arena analysis, for which a lot of people are going to be building her up. So the first build is pretty much the best build that you can run for Norne in arena. Flowing Lance, Ruptured Sky, and Distant Counter with a damage reduction skill. So you'll have to run a 300 SP Slotsy skill because she doesn't have a preferred weapon, so that is required to get the max score. And let's take a look at her matchups and how she performs in arena against some of the notable plus 10 legendary units. So because she's a blue unit, she's mainly going to be baiting out red units for the most part, but here as you can see, she can even deal with plus 10 legendary leaf. Legendary Roma at plus 10 merge is actually going to be pretty fast for her to double, but still she's not going to be taking too much damage from him. And you can also see how she does against the modern legendary units like Legendary Sigurd and Legendary Lilina. Despite the color advantage, she still takes so much damage from Legendary Sigurd and Legendary Lilina, but she can survive them and kill them back, so that is pretty good if you do have problem facing these kinds of units, especially Legendary Lilina, who's super annoying. I've run a lot of simulations on how she does in arena, and these are the most common legendary units which you're going to be facing. So this is pretty much her best build, which gives you the best result because Flowing Lance lull attack defense is really useful because a lot of these units are going to be fully buffed. So nullifying their bonuses is super helpful, and she does get pretty bulky with a damage reduction build. But if you cannot have access to Flowing Lance, then you can definitely run a Slaying Lance Ruptured Sky build. It will give you good one-shot potential, but obviously it's not as bulky as the Flowing Lance build, unfortunately, so if you don't have access to that, then you can definitely run this build, but keep in mind you'll have to play very carefully around some matchups. Speed Rest Form is a new Sacred Seal, so it can be run over the solo skill with this kind of build. And after Flowing Lance, in my opinion, the best weapon for her for arena is Candy Cane. From what I've run from the arena simulations, this pretty much gives you the second best result after Flowing Lance. So the guard effect of Candy Cane Plus is really helpful because a lot of these units like Legendary Sigurd and a lot of units in general are going to be running Ruptured Sky and 2-turn specials. So you can pretty much stop their special acceleration, which does make her pretty bulky even though she's not having that lull attack defense built into this weapon. So if you don't have Flowing Lance, then Winter Hilda is pretty much the best next option. And then you can also run her with Slaying Spear if you do have problem with Fallen Edelguards. This kind of Summer Norne with Slaying Spear and Null Follow-Up will always kill a plus 10 merge max invested Fallen Edelguard. So if you have a problem with her, then you can definitely go with this kind of build, but keep in mind, there are definitely more units in Arena than just armor units, and that's why I feel like Flowing Lance and Candy Cane build is much better for the general Arena use. But if you want a specialized use for her as the Armor Slayer or Fallen Edelgard Slayer, then Slaying Spear is an option. If you want to use her in Aether raids, then you can definitely make use of her with its Curtains Plus, and she makes for a really fantastic Gale Force unit because of her high speed. So that high speed allows her to run Flashing Blade 4, which is a lot more consistent in Aether Raid's offense than Heavy Blade. It's really hard to meet the Heavy Blade attack checks than it is to meet the speed checks with Flashing Blade. So it works out really well for her, and its Curtains is pretty much a free-to-play weapon because we did get Hot Springs Ryoma in the limited ephemera pool. So if you still have him saved up, then you can definitely run this kind of Gale Force build in Aether Raid's offense, especially when we have a lot of oppressive teams with double note and stuff like that. So against those kinds of teams, I found that Gale Force is a very potent strategy. So Summer Norne can be a really good unit there. And if you can afford, then you can even run Time Pulse to have that 4-turn Gale Force. But if not, then you can definitely pulse down someone like Dagger with the Infantry Pulse and just run Crook and Pulse herself. So this will give you 1-tap Gale Force, and that is much more preferred than having a 4-turn Gale Force because you just have to hit once and trigger your Gale Force, which is really good. And if you want to use her as a tank, then you can definitely use her with Rider's Bane Plus. It might seem a bit weird, but in the light season, you're going to be seeing so many cavalry units with Note that having Rider's Bane and Null Counter Disrupt definitely makes things a lot easier for you. Obviously, she's no Micaiah, so there are definitely going to be some matchups where she's going to be struggling, but still she can put in a lot of work because of her color. So blue color is not bad for tanking a lot of the Cavaliers that are run with Note, so this kind of build is definitely a possibility. In Aether Raids, I feel like you definitely want to use her with a specialized role instead of just being a general tank. So either you run her as a Gale Force unit or you make her into this kind of Cavalry Slayer with Rider's Bane. And you can also use her as a support for a far save tank. So if you do not have both of these save skills, then what you could do is pretty much have Norne take on the physical threats, and then you can just save her from the range units by having a unit with far save. So this does work out pretty well for her because most of the time melee threats are going to be limited to Legendary Seaguard and Note, and with this kind of build she easily takes them on. So this is a very specialized build for taking on Note because her menace skill is going to be active when you're going to be putting out Norne in front. So Springy Lance will neutralize the attack and speed debuff from her menace skill, and lull attack speed is going to be preventing her any kind of buff on going on her so that she doesn't get the effect of the bonus doubler from her weapon. So with this kind of build, you can easily take the common Legendary Seaguards and Note and have a far save unit to tank other range units. Steady Posture is really good because it will stop the special charges of Note and Legendary Seaguard. Most of the time Legendary Seaguard is going to be having Quick and Pulse, so it doesn't really matter too much against him, but against Note, who will have something like Moonbow, it is going to be pretty helpful in staying healthy. Mystic Boost does provide you the healing, so that is pretty good. So having Norne with this kind of high speed and a specialized build to take on Note is going to be making it pretty easy for you with a far save tank. And if you just want to use her as a general tank, which I don't really recommend that much because Brave Hector is definitely better as a lance tank than Summer Norne for the general purpose. But still, if you want to use her, then you can make use of Springy Lance Plus as a weapon or even Guild Fork Plus. Guild Fork is available in the Divine Code section, so it's easier to get than Springy Lance, so that could be run, but still the speed debuffs are going to be annoying you, especially from Note's menace skill. So Null Follow-Up is really good in Aether Raid's offense because of Dual Lift and Bramimon, so it is going to be helping you quite a lot, but unfortunately she cannot really run a damage reduction skill, but you can always run a support unit like Flame to give her the external damage reduction. I feel like Summer Norne is already a really good free-to-play unit, and I don't think I really need to change any stats on her, but still I wish that she came with better skills for fodder. So I feel like Shell Point Lance was the ideal time to release the ideal skills in the free-to-play pool, and I know ideal skills are, rather rare, but still I wish that FEH had better skill availability because it takes many years for the new skills to show up on free-to-play units. So I wish this was a bit faster, and the ideal skill has really good synergy with her Shell Point Lance, so that is good. And I wish she came with a Rouse skill. Rouse speed resistance is still not available in the free-to-play pool, so that would have been pretty good. And Reality attack speed is also not present in the free-to-play pool, so that would be really helpful for many inherits as well. So this is pretty much my theory craft. So that was my review. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are trying to build up Summer Norne. I went over a lot of options comprehensively, and I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support. If you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Ogma after he found out that Summer Norne is a free-to-play unit in that same weapon and class type. So that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.